Hello, and welcome to episode 124 of Nintendo Therapy, a show about the latest Nintendo news and rumors, as well as a celebration of all of the things Nintendo. My name is Kevin, and joining me this week in the cloud where my games now live is Harrison. How you doing, Harrison?
M My games are still safe, intact on the Switch 1. I'll figure that out because 'cause I'm not keeping my Switch 1. Um,
Ah,
I guess
yeah.
I'll sell it afterwards. I usually get rid of it before, but now I'll just get rid of it after.
I'm a pack rat. I keep everything. Like I don't know. And I like even have the redundant systems. Like I still have my Wii, even though I transferred all of the data from the Wii onto my Wii U. It's just I never get rid of that stuff.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, what Harrison and I are kind of teeing up here is the reason our episode is a day late this week is I had to pick up my Switch 2 when we normally record, and we bumped it for that. So we'll just give my first impressions here. Switch 2. I actually haven't had time to play it much because that's part of being an adult. I picked it up, went straight from picking it up to work, got home from work today, and I had a lot of stuff to do around the house. I was able to play like about an hour of it. Uh while I was at work, I used that time to transfer all the information over from my Switch, so it was nice that I had a job where I could do that. I transferred all the games over. Super easy. I'll just throw that out there. If you've got a Switch and you're worried about the transfer process, it literally takes you right through it from startup. It assumes you have a Switch, or I can't remember exactly. It probably asks you like a yes, no, or something, but um it takes all the data right over. You sign into your Nintendo Switch Online account, which I forget what they're calling that now. Nintendo Classics. That's going to take some getting used to. But yeah, it was super easy. Um, all my games transferred right over. Really, really hope they get those bigger memory cards out soon, though, because I have more games than can fit on a Switch 2 right now. So I need to keep my Switch around as kind of just a storage device for the games I can't send over yet. Because you can really only get like 400 gigs of memory on there about if you have a card plus the internal storage. And yeah, I have over 500. I have like 510 gigs of games, and that's before I start buying the new ones. So I need a terabyte at some point. Um, if I want to keep you don't have to do any of this. Obviously, I'm the type of person where I want everything on the one device. That's part of the appeal to me. So I will be whenever I can upgrade the memory. I will be doing that. But yeah, it was a super easy startup. One thing I really like, by the way, is I think this is different than the Switch. I could be wrong. If you delete a game to free up some space on that memory card, it still shows in your like library. So like you still get to view your full library and I guess make adjustments if you want to, download a game you're in the mood for and delete another one. It still shows it all when you check your game
On
library,
the
which I
Switch
really like.
on the Switch, it's like that, but it
Okay.
but it it's different. I think it's a little bit better on the Switch too,
Mhm.
because on the Switch, if you delete it, you can delete it off entirely if that's your choice, but if you delete it initially, it just shows, a cloud button next to the game title,
Oh,
but
yeah.
but
Okay.
you there's no way what I don't like is there's no way of seeing whether it's on your system or not when you're just looking at the games you have. Of course,
Are you talking
you
about on the
you
Switch?
on the Switch, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I think I got it right here, actually. I brought it down for something I wanted to do with our Spotlight game today, but let me take a look here. They got, like, it always has that little memory. I don't know if you can see the little memory card looking thing, and if that is, like, empty, it's not on the Switch, and if it's full, it is. So, the little game card looking thing.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah. Well,
Um
they might have actually they might have changed it with the update. I'll look at it right now. They might have changed it with the update, but
mhm.
yeah, you've always been able to see your library. No, no, it's the same. So
Okay,
it's
good.
just the cloud button, but the difference now is that if you have it downloaded or it's physical, they have the game card button on it. So, uh, yeah,
Yeah, it's
but
a great improvement.
but
It's
what?
great
But
great UI, I'll say. I really like that about it.
Yeah, and so usually for me, I don't um actually no, I do keep games on there that I want to play in the future, but I don't want to keep in my system. And I
Mhm.
understand like wanting to have all your games on the Switch. I totally hear that. I'm hoping that the speed of the Switch 2 fixes having that need, I guess I'll say, because, like, on my
Yes.
Steam on my Steam
That
Deck.
was my next note was the
Yeah,
ones that I had to send over to the Switch. It was like almost it was the time it took was negligible. It was like almost instantaneous
yeah,
when I sent a game over to my Switch. It was like doo
yeah,
doo on the little icon. So that was really, really nice. I don't know what it's doing internally for that, but transferring games back and forth between one system and another is really, really easy. This was the first time I used the virtual game cards or whatever.
yeah, yeah, because yeah, I mean, if it's similar to the Steam Deck, I mean, my Steam Deck will download sometimes, like, it can download 200 megabytes a second. So, I'm
Mhm.
never worried about having a game on there. Like, even if
Yeah.
it's, like, a 20 gig game, uh, it's gonna take me 20
Well,
minutes
aren't
maybe.
the micro I don't know much about technology, so I might be saying something stupid here. But I saw that the micro SD cards that the Switch uses are 900 megabytes a second. So, pretty fast.
Yeah. Right, right, and that's not how and of course, that's not how fast the system is, that's just what the capability
Yeah,
would be.
exactly, yeah, yeah,
Of
yeah.
course, but it seems like it's a lot faster from the
Mm.
initial reviews I've seen. There's other things like
Oh, speaking of faster, one thing I also noticed is, the eShop. eShop works the way it always should have worked. Like, there's no it doesn't hesitate. At least I didn't run into any issues. I haven't again, I only got to play with it for, like, an hour. But, I went in there and I downloaded my updated, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom because it's free if you have Switch Online. So I did that, and, like, navigating the eShop, I wasn't, like, fighting with it. It was just, like, everything you wanted it to do, it did.
yeah, I I'm always gonna think that's a missed opportunity, but it works better, so whatever.
What is?
Just
What's the missed opportunity?
not doing more at the eShop.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Just
Totally.
I'm gonna
I
stop.
mean, getting it running is the first step.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop
Yeah,
talking about it because this is
yeah,
what it is for the next forever.
yeah.
But it's always gonna be, in my eyes, a missed opportunity. They should just do way more with that. Encourage me to
Well,
spend
hopefully,
money.
maybe they could, maybe things will change. I mean, already doing the Switch 2 versions of things and having the option where it's free if you subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online, that's something they didn't really do much on the Switch. You didn't get a whole lot of like bonuses for your Switch Online subscription. So it seems like they're kind of slowly branching into experimental territory there. Whether that leads to bigger things, time will tell.
I'm 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 not even gonna like instead of being negative, I'm not gonna put my focus there. I'm just gonna say the main problem is now fixed. And
Okay, yeah.
and if I want to be, I'm gonna try to be constructive, but like I do think Nintendo missed their mark with marketing the backwards compatibility. So I want to bring up something that
Mhm.
seems like it's a really great feature, but at the same time, like, why are you not just showing off this feature over and over again? Like, you get a
Yeah.
Switch day one, you have thousands of games, people, and
Mhm.
also, like, maybe you also, um, soften it a little bit, I would say.
Yeah, I mean,
The
to your point, look at this. I set this all up just on my desk at work. Look at all those games. Like my Switch now knows I have them. You know what I mean? Like I was able to do that just sitting on my desk. So you're right. They should be marketing that a lot more. How easy that all goes over.
and I wanna be fair too by saying that a lot of the initial reviews I saw yesterday is that not all the functionality and features are working correctly for all the games day one, but
Mhm.
hey,
That's to be expected.
there's thousands of games. I got it. There's
Yeah.
patches, there's updates. Now, if it's not fixed in the future, okay, like, um, then that's something else. But I'll try to be understanding by saying that I didn't think it was gonna be perfect day one. It's never perfect for any system day one.
Mhm.
But it is odd. There's some it like that's mostly what I took my notes on is that it's just been a very odd launch. Not and there's lots of positives, of course, but
Mhm.
it's been very weird for I think a few reasons. I think I know why. Uh
I mean, I think
so
everybody's got their own opinions on how they think this launch could have gone a little
yeah.
different. And from my point of view, I think they should have led with, but Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart should have come out in July. I get the instinct that Mario Kart's the biggest thing in the world, so it'll sell your systems. But July's only a month in, and you still could have done a bundle if you wanted to. It just would have been like a bundle that came out in July. Uh, and I don't know. I feel like it's weird for the big launch game to be a racing game, even though it is open world. Typically, they have a platformer ready to go out of the gate, so that feels a little weird. And yeah, there's a couple of I agree. There's a couple of other weird things about it. That's my biggest one though. I just I even wrote a whole paragraph in my notes. I don't know if you read it, where I'm like, I don't even have a Switch 2 exclusive yet, and it feels like another weird thing about this launch is they're trying to do this gradual transition between the Switch and the Switch 2, where like almost everything right now is also available on Switch. There's the only exclusives are like Mario Kart, um, very few. Donkey Kong Bonanza, like I just
Third
said.
parties.
Uh,
There's
third parties,
there's
yeah.
exclusive third parties also, yeah. But
Bravely Default is a 3DS game. Metroid Prime 4. These are just the things I'm interested in. But from like, look at this. If you look at this from my point of view, okay, what's Kevin interested in? Well, Bravely Default is a 3DS game. Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon Legends ZA, both coming to Switch. Hyrule Warriors, even though I like Zelda, isn't really my thing. That is technically an exclusive, but I'll give them that one. Uh, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 also coming to Switch. So like they haven't announced a lot of exclusives that are like being talked about as system sellers yet, which is why I really hope the rumors are true about a direct coming soon where I'm wondering if maybe the thought process was let people get used to the idea of the Switch 2, let people get all their questions out of the way about how the thing works and what it's compatible with and what it does, and then of a week or 2 in, we'll drop a direct that announces more games that are gonna be exclusive to it. Also let the launch go, things like that, like, they had to focus on the launch of the system. They don't wanna talk too much about what's gonna be coming a month from now if you can't even get the system today. So,
it
uh,
it was a
yeah.
voice chat, right? I mean, that's a good point. I didn't put that in my
Yeah.
notes, but it was the voice chat, which is the reason why they might have chosen to do Mario Kart, uh, first.
Yeah, that's true.
Eh,
That's a good
along
point.
along with it being over 10 years,
There's a lot of
of not
misinformation
having
about
one.
that voice chat out there, by the way, mixed with the I'm sure you saw the news story about them saying they can brick your system. There's a lot of people like afraid now that if they get too rowdy in the voice chat, they'll have their system bricked. And I'm like, I mean, I'm sure that's possible, but at the same time, the voice chat doesn't work like it does on other systems. You have to be like on a friends list. You can only talk with people you specifically decide to talk to. There's no lobby, at least not yet. So, I think that's going to be go a long way in saying like, well, if you heard something offensive, you invited that person.
I want to do a bigger episode on misinformation,
Yeah.
within maybe just gaming in general, but
Hmm.
I'm gonna table it for now.
Oh
Because
yeah, I don't know if
because
you saw. I posted something on Blue Sky just this week about the game key cards. There's a lot of misinformation about those out there as well.
there's been a lot, and I have opinions on if or how Nintendo or just companies should address it. I'm gonna table it though.
Okay,
I
it's a
want
good
to,
future segment.
yeah. I want to keep it. I want to keep it with Mario Kart for now.
Yeah, especially if we have time to do research, I'm sure we can find examples from like some really good examples from older releases that it affected.
Yeah, it's been something I've been thinking about a
Hmm.
ton these past 2 days with everything that we've ended up finding out. But my mind's just gonna go too many places, and I wanna talk Mario Kart because
Okay, yeah.
I watched a lot of it, and yeah, I think it was 10-year-old game needed a new one, and also they had to show off the camera and voice chat. That's kind of where the disconnect kind of comes in with me, and that's one of the bullet points I put down is that it it kind of seems like they're in this in between point as well with like they have this new system which feels now more premium, but then they're trying to roll out features that have more social functionality in it as well. And I was thinking just like if I worked in retail and I was 100% honest, genuine, like not trying to push you to buy the most expensive thing. I'm not sure if I would recommend a Switch 2 to every family that walked in. Because, like, if you got a little kid, I might just say, like, give them a Switch 1, if they mess it up, if they break it, whatever,
Hmm.
you get a nice case for it. But it almost seems like at this point, and a year from now it'll be different. A year from now, perhaps we have a Switch 2 Lite, um, and perhaps we get some cheaper bundles, and perhaps the novelty wears off, and this new premium system. I mean, when I got my Switch OLED, like at first I was like really careful with it, like very like,
Hmm.
like don't want to touch the screen too much, want to wipe it down all the time, things, there's just things like that.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
that's another thing I wanted to address, by the way, is so you have an OLED. Me coming from, I'm upgrading from the original Switch model. I never upgraded. So the visual, the screen looks so much better to me. The size is so much bigger. So like it is so much more of an upgrade to anyone who didn't get an OLED than to people who did. So that like there's also that point of view.
yeah, I'll have no opinion. It looks nice. 'Cause I
Mhm.
don't have as much opinion with LCD or like LCD that has HDR opposed to like OLED. I can see that. Um, I can see the sharpness, like, and I think it'll
Mhm.
just come down to your preference and what you want. As far as this is really funny. As far as the battery goes, I think with hardware updates, uh, it'll fix some of the battery problems, like, if you just have your Switch just sitting there,
Mhm.
in handheld on the menu, it won't die as quickly. Because it looks like they're having that issue now, but if
Yeah,
you
like I said,
but
I'll know way more about this when we record our next episode. I'll
yeah,
have some battery experience.
but if you're playing Cyberpunk, it might just be a 90-minute handheld game.
Yeah.
Unless they're giving you now, I haven't seen this part, if they give you options to throttle, like your performance, but I'm thinking it's Switch, it's probably not like that. But even like
Mhm.
if I even on my Steam Deck, if I throttle Cyberpunk at 40 megahertz, it's still only lasting me maybe 2 hours. So it that's a part of going up in like performance is that the battery might not be able to keep up with where it was before. It is what it is,
Yeah.
honestly. But I think hardware updates might fix some of the like bigger issues, which is
Mhm.
typical. And also, batteries do they don't work as good at first, right? That you have to let it die first and charge it up,
Yeah.
and right, like if you don't let it
I mean,
die,
I know that used to be true. I don't know if, like, how far battery technology has come, but,
that's
like, I
true.
know at some point in history that was true.
That's true. That
The other thing I wanted to make sure we talked about though is, what I did spend my, like, 45-minute hour play session, whatever it was, today doing, was I got my GameCube controller in the mail, and I played GameCube. I played all 3 games, like, just kinda, like, got a taste of each one, you know? And, it runs smooth, it's great, the controller feels great. I'm really, really looking I think the thing I'm looking the most forward to on this system, rather than new games, is paying attention to what they add to the GameCube service. Like, I'm gonna play Sunshine again. I've never played the first Luigi's Mansion game with a GameCube controller. I played it in an emulator on my Anbernic, so, like, that'll be really cool. Um, I don't know, I'm sure there's some hidden gems out there that I never really touched on the original GameCube, so that's the thing I'm looking forward to, like, even more at this point than, like, a new Zelda or, new Mario, like, that type of thing. Like, I don't know why, it's just like you said, maybe it's because this system is thinking of, older gamers a little more. That's the main appeal to me right now.
I I don't know if it was intentional, but that's certainly where we are right now.
Mhm.
And I think things even out over time, but
Now people need to start asking when Wii is coming to Nintendo Classics because
yes,
they spent all those years saying, "When are we getting GameCube? When are we getting GameCube?" Now we
yeah.
got GameCube. I'm waiting. I'm sure it exists, but I haven't seen any yet. I'm waiting to see that first post. When are we getting Wii? When are they adding Wii?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh so this launch,
Mhm.
yeah, this launch seems like supply was fine. I wish we had like
Yeah.
even though I don't I'm not gonna get it day one. I wish we would have had supply just where I lived because it seemed like
It's like they
y'all had
secretly
extra.
increased the inventory in the final hour. Like people were expecting locations to only have like 5 units for anyone who didn't have a pre-order, and they ended up having like 20. So, pretty decent if you got in line. Some of them had more than 20.
I guess the last part I want to touch on is the most important part of why I think this is has been a weird launch is that since this launch might have been for more people that have their own income, like more people
Mhm.
our age, more older people. I think that means that we're also can we're also people that can compare it to other video game hardware launches, and it's just another part of getting older. Launches are just not what they used to they're not the same, and I think that's
Mhm.
fine. I think that's perfectly fine, you know? Like, it's perfectly fine to just go into a store and buy your system and get your games and go home. Like, that's perfectly fine sometimes, but, yeah, those feelings are memories, and those memories are important, but, we keep them as memories because things are just I think things are just different. So I think
Yeah.
like that's like
It's definitely not a situation where they just shut the switch off and we're like, "Okay, now it's Switch 2 time." You
uh,
know, we've launched it, focus on this. It's
Well,
it's like I said earlier, it's a gradual transition.
it hasn't been that in the past for Nintendo, but it's just
There's been some.
but it's been
Some
there's
more
been
than I think we did an episode on that.
yeah, there's been
The
some.
switch from GameCube to Wii, I think, was, like, sudden, and the Wii to Wii U, but they also the yeah, I think the Wii U to Switch was also kinda sudden,
Yeah, but
but
even when it wasn't sudden in the past, it was still it's still times are just different. Like this is the post-COVID system. Like things are like I'm sure when the 3DS launched, even though it was a bad launch, there was still like midnight releases and
mhm,
like there was still um like in the past 10 years thinking about like my biggest hype around a game, like thinking about a time where I felt that sort of community, it's less than 5 times, like in the last 10 years. It used to be
mhm.
all the time. But again, that's
Well, a
okay.
lot of that I feel like is internet cynicism has come a long way where you can't even like anything anymore, where the algorithms just show you so much more of people complaining rather than, like you said, building a community of being hyped about something. Like the internet kills hype. Social media kills hype. It's
Yeah.
very sad.
Yeah, and a lot of us just stay home. A lot of
Mhm,
us will just not go out, and a lot of places don't have like those kind of releases. So the launch, I think it just like the main takeaway I got from all the many videos I watched yesterday was that something just feels a bit weird about this. It feels a bit strange, and my feeling was it's that we have the ability to compare it to other times, but we also brought up a lot of other points as well that factored into it. So
mhm.
it was a whole big thing. Speaking of the internet,
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying because this is definitely the first Nintendo console I bought where I was, like, reflecting on all the previous console releases, like and I even made posts on Blue Sky about them this week, and I don't think when I picked up my Switch, I was like, "Oh, I remember the day I got my Wii, and I remember the day I got my GameCube." It was just like I went and got my Switch. You know what I mean? Like this felt more like I don't know. You're right. It was different. It was more of a. It was more for the older gamers. It was more for people who are looking back at things and more reflective.
yeah, uh, oh, and then I was gonna say that uh, I saw a lot of discourse between, like, Steam Deck and Switch 2, and, like, because
Hmm.
we finally have it in our hands, we can finally compare, like, these all these handheld PCs to the Switch 2, and it's of course, I'm an owner of both, so, well, I'm an owner of Switch hardware, and I just think it's funny is that, why would you want other hardware to be worse than your hardware, or why would it matter at all? It's like if PlayStation wants to release a handheld that is amazing, I'll buy it. I don't care. Like,
Dude, there's a lot of like I'm not educated enough on this matter, but when I was at Best Buy, when I went there to get the Switch, I was looking at the PC handhelds and looking at the more expensive ones too. And I was like, one of them I saw was over $800. And I texted my wife a picture of it. I was like, I could get this instead. It's an $800 machine that doesn't play Mario. Like that's how I view it. I'm like, I'm sure it's great at what it does, but the average idiot like me is just like, I want to play my Mario and Zelda, and that's all the price matters to me. So, um, yeah, that like I feel like the Switch is it might be, and I'm horrible at judging prices because I'm a sucker. I feel like the price might be a little high, like it would have been better if it was 400, but I also don't feel like it's that crazy a price. I feel like especially when you start looking at like you said Steam Deck, the comparable model is $50 more. Um and it is a little better, but it's also a little more expensive. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what that $800 handheld was I looked at either. I wish I
Yeah.
wrote it down because I'd love to know what that thing's all about.
It it might be the I don't know, there's so many now, but they do have
Yeah.
ones that have detachable, controllers. So
I
it's
don't think this one
strictly,
did.
but
You know what?
there's
I might have the picture. So I can just so I can if our listeners are curious. So keep talking. I'll see if I have the picture I took.
yeah, yeah, there's so many. Switch relies on, having those Nintendo games because, sure, if you have a if you play on PC or you play on a handheld PC, whether it's Steam Deck or whatever it is, you depending on what kind of games you play, you do save a lot of money because it opens you up to options of where you buy games, what games you buy. Um, so yeah, you find it?
I believe it's called the Legion Go.
Legion Go.
The Legion Go was what I looked at.
Legion Go is detachable.
Okay.
They're just big. They're just
Yeah,
really
now that
big.
I'm looking at it, I can kind of see that, but you wouldn't know that by glancing at it because, like you said, they are really big.
Yeah.
Um,
So that's the other thing too. Like the Legion Go is cool, but it's way bigger than my Steam Deck. Uh,
mhm.
and I used to not travel with my Steam Deck. Same thing used to be like the big expensive, but now I do. It's not so bad. Um, I'm hoping that handheld PCs get smaller over time because like the Switch is like a great like compact size. I can't wait to see what they do with the light version and the OLED version of it. Yeah,
I
it
saw
really
some people complaining they
just
thought
comes
it
down
was too
to
big. I saw
uh,
some people saying like, "Oh, this isn't portable," and I'm like, "Well, guys, portable doesn't mean pocket sized. They're not the same thing. Like
get,
it is very portable, guys."
get, get some Jinkos. Actually, I was I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
I was talking in a class yesterday about how I'm not sure where we are. His pants they're always getting they're either going this way or they're getting wider or they're getting skinnier.
Mm.
I think they're getting wider
Or
right
you got
now.
bell bottoms doing both.
Yeah, but I think pants are getting wider again. Leave me a comment because I'm not a fashion guy. Uh,
Neither am
so,
I. I'm wearing Spider-Man gear. Like,
um, so Kevin, I'm really happy for you. I'm really happy for everyone
oh my
who
god, my
got their
anxiety
system.
melted away the second I got it in my hand. Like, I was just like right up until I got it, I had this, like, anxiety of, like, well, what if something happens and I don't get the Switch and it takes me, like I think I have, like, shell shock from how long it took me to get my Wii, and I'm like, "I don't want to ever do that again." Like, I don't wanna have to call stores every day and be like, "Do you have them? Do you have them?" So, yeah, I was all that anxiety as soon as I got it in my hand melted away, and I'm like, "Okay, now I got the system. I can just pay attention to whatever games I wanna play and go from there." And it's funny because I got the system, and what am I playing? I'm playing Grand Theft Auto 3 right now, the remaster
Oh,
they
it looks
put
good.
out. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I've been watching tons of videos on backwards compatibility,
yeah,
and it's locked. It looks.
mhm,
I mean, it's not going to change the graphics, but
no,
it's locked at 30 frames. And I was looking at games like Dragon Quest Builders 2, and that game had tons of frame rate issues, even though it was one of my favorites. And that game looks fixed also. So yeah, Nintendo show people more of that. Like, hey, like you can play your old Switch, but if you want to upgrade, it does give you this kind of quality of life. I do want to say, I think the packaging for Switch 2 is horrible. I do want to say that.
yeah. I'll
Now that
agree
I'm
with that.
seeing it.
I actually think it might be intentional. Like, it's way too close to the Switch's packaging. It's almost borderline intentionally confusing. Um, where people might be like, "Oh, this is just a cheaper version of that. I'll get them this," and the Switch sales go up. But,
Makes no sense. Like I saw Best Buy has or you get a coin? Best Buy had the
Yeah, I was so
coins.
jealous of that. If I'd have known, that's where I would have gone because I was at Best Buy, but I didn't wait in line. The coin only went to the people that waited in line. I would have totally waited in line if I knew I was getting a coin.
Coin, yeah, yeah. But that was the only cool thing I saw from this
Like
whole
I even picked the right
yeah.
store. I just didn't wait in line.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know until I saw Wolfden get it, and I was like, "That's pretty cool." That's the only cool part I saw of it, and just like, why would you phone that part in? Like, it doesn't coming up with new packaging is not
Mhm.
that difficult. Like, you could give me an
Yeah.
hour, and I could, like, come up with, like, an idea, right? Um,
I miss the games being having, like, screenshots on the back. They haven't done that for, like, in PlayStation, Xbox as well. Like, they don't, like, do that anymore. And that was always the cool part about looking at old video game boxes is seeing what games they tried to sell the system on.
Yeah. It might be intentional, but I'd have to get into my, like, conspiratorial part of my part of the podcast, I guess I'll say.
Yeah,
Be
they might
be
also have to pay for that if they put
yeah,
third-party games on there or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Because, like, I had to be conspiratorial to say, like, they're just gradually making the packaging of the games worse. Game packaging used to be amazing, guys, come on.
Mhm,
The manuals? Come on, people. So
mhm.
yeah. Alright, I'm gonna switch scenes here, 'cause
So yeah, I think it's a good time to get into the segment we came up with for this week. So this is a segment that we can repeat if it goes well, and I think we will. I think we'll try it one or two more times down the line. But real simple concept. We're just gonna pitch a video game. The Switch 2 launched, so now let's talk about what we would like to play on the Switch 2. What's like in your mind like a cool approach to a game? You can either make up something completely from scratch or do something with an existing franchise. I think we'll do this again at some point because I think Sean came up with one, but he couldn't be here tonight. So maybe in a couple of weeks we'll do this again. Do you want to go first? You kept yours secret, so
sure,
I'm kind of curious.
sure. So, my title is Zelda Realms of the Wild. Now, this is
Hmm.
a working title because it might be just too on the nose. Like we've had Wild already, Breath of the Wild, but Zelda Realms of the Wild. Basically, I want you to think about the transition Tears of the Kingdom made with like fusing and getting a little bit more into the crafting part of it, and then think that it's going to be in a survival world, but also we could add on a creative part to it as well. You have a creative mode where you have a creative sandbox. So basically, I want to take the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom series and hey, you want sandbox? Let's go all the way to the most ultimate sandbox game there is and make it Minecraft Zelda. That's basically my idea. So, this will be a
Yeah.
community-driven survival game
Get
in
some of those digging mechanics from DK Bonanza in there. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. It's in Hyrule, it's in the Zelda universe, maybe it looks the same, maybe it looks a little bit more next generation, but it focuses on survival, it focuses on, us building our own bases and domains, and the cool part about Breath of the Wild Hyrule is that we get the opportunity to rebuild Hyrule as well, because, you're walking through all of those, villages that aren't there anymore, and, they kinda look all the same as well, which is a criticism I have.
Yeah.
So, we have Blood Moon Invasions, and keep in mind too, like, this is going to be, driven also by a very strong multiplayer, like, finally, Zelda has a strong, online multiplayer game. as well as like couch co-op and everything. You have to gather resources, so you get that dopamine hit from kind of slowly building up. At first, you can only get some wood and some stone. You can only make like some basic weapons and tools, but then over time, along with using the fuse system, but even going deeper than that, you can get stronger weapons. And hey, perhaps we address that whole durability thing that people hate in the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom series as well. Moving on from
You know what
that,
my pitch was always for fixing the durability? Is you should be rewarded for being able to stop yourself right before a weapon breaks. So if you can get it down to like 5% health or whatever, you can take that to a blacksmith or something.
yeah, blacksmith
That
would
was
be
always my
cool.
workaround. Yeah.
And then the next part of this gets even better is that it's the first ever Nintendo Workshop. Now we had Mario Maker, and Mario Maker you can make your own levels, but Nintendo Workshop, you're actually going to be able to make your own mods for this game, and this is going to greatly show off the mouse functionality of
Mm.
of these games. Oh, side note, all the 3D printed mouses that I've seen for the Joy Cons, they're all awesome. By the way, I'm gonna move on though. Um,
I haven't I haven't even used the mouse function yet. That's how little I've used my Switch too. I want to. I'll be doing it probably tomorrow.
yeah. So we got alternate timelines for Zelda. We got Ganon, but also we got Ganon reimagined. We got some new enemies. We have crossover content, whether that's DLC or it is part of the Nintendo Workshop. So we got Mario themed armor. We got Pokemon enemies coming in. Because that was kind of my other idea that we'll get into it next week. Um, Luigi's Mansion, Forest. We got everything. We got everything because it's not real, so we got everything. Um, new temples, got new quests, new weapons.
Mhm.
Um, we have perhaps you can play as different races. Is that the
Yeah.
right word? Goron,
Yeah,
Zora,
like you mean you could be a Goron or a Zora. Yeah, exactly.
Rito would be
They call them
cool.
races.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, different
I don't know if
races.
Nintendo officially calls them that, but I've definitely seen it referred to that way in online communities.
Yeah. So it's multiplayer driven. It is lore driven. Great part about these games like this is that you can create your own guilds, your own clan. You can create your own lore within the game. There's gonna be a final dungeon in this game, but that's not really the end goal. Most people are gonna
Mhm.
play this game just to have that sandbox experience. And also once you defeat the final boss, the game just keeps going because it's a sandbox game. You're building, you're having fun with your friends, you're going on quests.
Every
There's
game should
new
do that. I feel like that should be the bare minimum.
there's
Like,
just
you should
there's
at
just
least be
new
able to, after the final boss, save and, like, get put back on the world. Like,
yeah,
some games
exactly.
don't even do that. You have to reload from the file you had right before you fought the boss.
So we got mouse functionality, we got touchscreen functionality, we got
Mhm.
weekly, monthly events that are going on, and this breaks the mold. So again, like there's so many reasons why Nintendo would not do a game like this, and I think it's mostly because it breaks that agency that Nintendo usually has within their games. Sorry to be pessimistic at the end, but
Mm.
I've talked on here many times that Nintendo has opportunities to do certain experiences that they choose not to. That's just how it is. But
Yeah.
this game could
I I know I keep interrupting you,
yeah.
but I think that's what makes them the most like Disney and why they're called like the Disney of the video game companies. It's that mixed with them having family-friendly content. but it's like it's also like they refuse to do things they know people want.
Yeah. Yeah. And agency isn't always bad because
Yeah.
like their news application, I agree with that. Sure, I agree with that.
Mhm,
Yeah, things like that. Um, but if you had a game like this, we are now competing with Roblox to a point, just a
mhm,
little bit. Minecraft to a point. Again,
mhm,
like these are empires. These are games that will never, ever, ever die. But we are going to pull some of that audience. If you can pull 1%, you're good. You're fine. Uh, and it kicks off the creative community hub for Nintendo. Hopefully, we get some more workshop as well.
mhm.
So, my other my backup ideas for this were either like a sandbox Pokemon game or a yeah, there was another one. But like a sandbox Pokemon game was another one because that's something that I've talked about on here. I would love to have a very strong like multiplayer experience uh within a Pokemon world. But we'll save that for another time. All right. I hope you
So
like my
my
pitch.
yeah, I would totally play that game. Like, I'm trying to think if Lego has a Minecraft type game because if they
Lego
don't, they
Worlds.
should as well. They
Well,
did
well,
okay, there you go.
well,
I thought
well,
so, I thought so.
there's Lego Worlds, and then Lego Fortnite. Lego Fortnite
Okay. I'm
is
thinking more
more
like Lego Worlds. Now that you
yeah.
say it and I remember it, I'm like, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, it totally fits in that mold, and, um, I mean, who knows? Nintendo has been getting a little more liberal with their Zelda branding. They did the Necromancer, game. They even them doing Hyrule Warriors was kind of outside the box for them back in the Wii U era. So, yeah, who knows?
Which
Who
I've been
knows?
watching tons of videos on that too, because that was like that's like for me like the like if Switch 2 can run Hyrule Warriors,
Yeah. Yep.
then I think we're good. Oh, sorry. The other one was Sandbox Animal Crossing. How could I forget that?
Oh,
Because of course,
yeah.
New Horizons added terraforming. So when I saw that, I was like, why not just go all the way then? Like, if you want us to build, why don't we build houses? Like,
Mhm.
if you want to do that, let's just take it to the extreme. So
For sure.
yeah,
We could talk about that forever, what you should be able to do in Animal Crossing, and maybe you will on the Switch too, we'll find out.
I want to hear
Uh,
your idea.
my
Yeah,
my quick pitch, the one that, I almost went into, and I was like, "I just don't have a lot to say about this," but it's definitely a game that I want really, really badly, is, Paper Zelda. Like, just like Paper Mario, take the Paper Mario formula. People have made fan-made, like, mock-ups of what it would look like, and it always looks great every time I see it. I've seen multiple different artists do it, and it always looks great. Um, and I would love to have a turn-based Zelda game. So, there you go. But, that's not what I because like I said, I don't have much to say about that other than that. So, the idea that I came up with was, I would like to see a Pikmin game, mixed with a city builder type of game. So, Olimar, go back to him because I don't know why they ever make games that don't star Olimar. Uh, he gets, sent back to the planet this time instead of, being sent as a rescue mission or or crash landing. This time he is sent to the Pikmin planet to colonize the planet and, set up, an outpost, maybe get it to livable status for his I don't know what his species is called, but, get it set up so they can move there. Um, so you could start the game by picking which biome you want him to land in. You can have, like, a snowy, city, you can have a desert one, forest, you know what a biome is. So, uh, I think that would be cool, and you could even have the world open up a little bit where, like, um, maybe all the biomes are on each map, but you have to choose which one to start in, type thing. Um, so you go, you set up a camp, you explore outside your camp. So right now, that's every single Pikmin game. You land, you start exploring outside the camp, you pick up Pikmin as you go, you start building your Pikmin army. Use the Pikmin army to gather resources and this is something that kind of started in I think Pikmin 3. They really utilized it in Pikmin 4, but not like this, where you could have the resources be used to build different structures, which they never done. Olimar, whoever you're playing as, is always in his rocket ship. You never like settle down. So they could build these structures, um, use the Pikmin to protect your camp from enemy attacks. Uh, Play just like a Pikmin game. They don't tend to attack your camp very often in those games, which I think is something that should happen more often. Like you don't have to have any anxiety about going to the complete other end of the map in a Pikmin game. Like you never have to worry that someone's going to attack your camp. Um, so yeah, just build your little settlement. You could create monuments in the town by collecting the treasures that the Pikmin find, because that's like one of the coolest things about Pikmin games is the little things you have them lift and bring back to camp. Uh, Maybe some of those are things that people could live inside. Like maybe they turn like a Game Boy Advance SP into like a tent or something. Um, And yeah, the monuments can increase the town's rating, like in Animal Crossing. Help level up a category like Sim City. It could advance from like a town to a city to a metropolis type thing. Um, More of Olimar's people start moving down. Again, I don't know what they're called. I'm sure their species has a name. Um, so yeah. Anyway, it would be different from most city builders because you would experience it from like the POV of a normal Pikmin game. It wouldn't be like a god's eye view where you're like just laying down roads and stuff. There are a couple of games out there like that, like My Time in Portia, um, stuff like that. I mean, to an extent, Minecraft is kind of like that. Um, so like, yeah, not a top-down city builder. I would call this game Pikmin Colony, and I think it would be a really cool direction to take the series in instead of a Pikmin 5.
Okay, okay. I could see it as either. I could see it as top down also. Yeah, and
That's true. I mean, I don't know if you've ever played ActRaiser, but that did a great job of switching back and forth between they had side-scrolling adventure levels, and then after the side-scrolling adventure level, you would get sent to a Sim City top view where you worked on the city.
yeah.
So,
Because my style would be logistics. Like so
mhm.
my style would be especially and the mouse would be great for this
Mm,
if you play on a desk where I could just go around, I could highlight the Pikmin settlement and then
mhm.
it shows me what Pikmin are living there, and then I just drag drop. I want you to collect these resources, or I want you to move these resources, and
Yeah.
that
Oh,
and
so you get a little kind of like Command and Conquer in there.
yeah, that's what I enjoy because I
Mhm.
enjoy those like automation games, and
Yep.
that's basically what automation is: telling people to go do something so you don't have to do it. Uh,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, a lot of Pikmin is like that already, so that totally fits the formula. Like a lot of Pikmin is like, okay, today I'm gonna tell all my reds to go work on this wall while I tell all my blues to go get that thing that's in the water. So it totally fits.
Yeah. So so I would yeah, I would totally play a game that's like that. Uh I I think it's a good idea. And
Cool, cool.
and yeah, we need to show off the mouse more. I think
Hmm.
there's gonna
For sure.
be a lot more
I
features
hope we get
about
some
it.
point and click adventure games on the Switch too, like Curse of Monkey Island, those old like because Obviously, that's ideal for a mouse.
Mhm. Well,
Maybe
so
some arcade shooters.
well, that's a good point, because I some of them are available on Switch now, on Switch 2 right now, so I wonder if they get
Yeah.
those games get upgrades. Um,
I saw somebody was making a spiritual sequel to Maniac Mansion. So perfect.
yeah. Cool, cool. Yeah, I still need to go,
Um,
like, play all the Ace Attorney games, like, and
mm,
things like that.
I've never played an Ace Attorney.
Oh, it's awesome. It's so
I
fun.
should.
Yeah, they're so like, I've only played, like,
Oh,
1.
Advance Wars. Advance Wars would be great for the mouse too.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, yeah, and there's a lot of games like Civ 7's coming out, but Civ 6 is already on Switch, so, um, yeah, I think every day we're gonna be getting, like, updates, like, this game has been updated with this functionality, this game, so cool. Uh,
Okay, in our delayed spotlight game that we delayed from last week, I think this one will be a quick one. So I know we're running a little long here. This week we played Alissa Dragoon for the Sega Genesis. Came out in March of 1992. According to my research, it sold poorly despite fairly good reviews. Sega Pro magazine gave it an 85 out of 100. Game Pro gave it fives, 5 out of 5s in almost every category. I don't know if you remember how they did theirs. It was like they had these faces for each category. It would be like graphics, controls, sound, and like anyway. It was like 5 out of 5 in all but one. I think sound they gave a 4.5. So
sound
pretty highly reviewed.
yes, yes. So,
But at the same time,
yeah.
to me, this is one of those games where you say to yourself, is there anything wrong with it? No. Is there anything that makes it stand out? Also, no. So,
Um,
yeah.
I think well, I mean, if you're saying is there anything wrong with the gameplay, then I would say no. There's
Yeah,
something wrong
that's what
with
I
it.
mean.
There's something wrong with it. So I had to look up, because it's been a week and I forgot what it looks like. I made notes about the cover art,
Yeah,
and yeah, the cover art is
generic.
extremely generic, and it doesn't really it doesn't at all play into the graphics or style of the actual game. This problem still goes on today, by the way. This problem still happens
Mhm.
now. Um, yeah, I was wondering if cover art was more important back then, because yeah, you did have
I think it was.
you
I
did it.
think because of video game rentals,
Yeah.
there were definitely games I rented and I liked the game. And then I would go to rent it again, and I couldn't remember what game it was, and if it had, like, a cover that had nothing to do with it, it made it less likely that I would ever rediscover that game.
Yeah. Uh, because I think if you were to just see the cover of this game,
Mhm.
you're not gonna know, like, what it is, or, like, who the characters are, or what it's even gonna look like when you actually, like, put the card into the game. So, that I think
Mm.
that was my first
Even what
initial note.
genre?
Yeah. And we see that a lot, um, like where I've brought up, like, how, a lot of these a lot of these 90s games could just be, like, covers of romance novels, or,
Mhm.
like, mythology romance novel. I don't know if that's a thing, I don't know. Um, I wanna read a note from Sega Pro, but I know you put Sega Pro magazine in here, gave it 85
Mhm.
out of 100. So luckily, Out of Print Archive has archived all of these. One of the best parts of the internet, being able to find this old media. Pro tip: if your joypad has a rapid fire option, then use it. If not, Get hold of one soon. It'll make life a heck of a lot easier. Bewares though, using thunder all the time may mean you haven't got a big burst when you need it. Just thought that was funny is um that a publication is encouraging to, get a controller with a turbo
Yep.
button. Um yeah, I just thought
Yeah,
that
no,
was kind of
that is
funny.
funny because they were a relatively new concept, and I feel like Sega kinda relied on them a lot more. They had more alternate controllers out there, or I saw them more with that. I know the Super Nintendo had its fair share as well, but, um, I don't know, I just feel like people bought them more for Sega. Like, famously, they have the six-button controller, which is what should have come standard with the system, but that's another conversation.
I I think that's like I guess why I find it the most funny is that I think I'm looking at systems now going, why don't you just if you want that functionality, why don't you just give us that initially? But then like
Mhm.
but then we're going back, 30 whatever years, and they're kind of saying the same thing. So so a little just a little side note about this game here. Love seeing all these old reviews of these games. What if any, what platforming does this game remind you of? I want to get into some gameplay.
To me, it felt like a mix between like I don't know if it's just the visual style, but like Golden Axe. I felt a little bit of Castlevania in there. Um, Alien Storm is one we haven't played. I don't think. Oh no, we did play it. It kind of reminded me of that one as well.
I didn't have a comparison for this one.
Okay.
So I want to know your ideas, but yes, Golden Axe, art style or kind of
Hmm.
yeah, it's like the same. It's the same in my mind for some reason. That's a good point. Thought it was I thought it was a super tough game, and the bosses look great, but actually the bosses
Yeah.
might be a little bit easy compared to just the overall game. What do you think?
And that difficulty was kind of Sega's thing at the time. They were going for more of an arcade approach, whereas I feel like Nintendo understood the home console market a little better.
That damn Lion King. Okay.
Yeah. So ranking wise, this one's pretty low for me just because like I said, it was kind of forgettable. Um, I don't tend to gravitate towards this type of game anyway. So I ranked this all the way down at 131 below Ice Climber on the NES and right above Ignition Factor on the Super Nintendo. It's also in kind of the same neighborhood as Earthworm Jim, which I would also kind of compare it to gameplay style wise. So I don't know. Just not didn't click with me. This wasn't for me. I'm sure there's someone out there who loves this game. I wasn't that person.
Well, this is the first Dragoon game I've played. I don't know if
Hmm.
they're all connected or not. Dragoon. I had
I've
it at
been a Dragoon Knight in Final Fantasy.
uh, still haven't played Panzer Dragoon. On the
Okay.
backlog. We'll play it one afternoon, I'm sure. 78 for me, and I don't know what to compare it to. It's in the middle. And what else do I need to say before we sign off? Yeah, I think it looks nice. I think the sprites look great. I think the bosses look great. I think the uses of using different depth and like inclines, like there's like parts of it where you're going up like you're going up at like a 45-degree angle. I think that's
Hmm.
that's unique because you have to find different ways of using the tech that you have within the game. Um, Also, I couldn't play it for that long because of how the background was moving compared to
Oh,
the uh the characters. So it made me a little bit sick also.
Sorry, the whole reason I brought my Switch 2 down here, I remember I said I brought it here for this segment. So they have like descriptions of games now on here. Oh, is Sega Channel not on here? Okay, that's weird. Sega Channel is not in the Nintendo Classics section. I was gonna read what they wrote, but it's not on there. Never mind. But in the future, if it's one of the games that have a little description written about them, I'm gonna read it for this segment. Um, I have Sega Channel on here, but it's not in the. That's weird. Maybe because it's called Nintendo Classics, they exclude it from that page.
Yeah, if they
I
want to do
don't.
Sega Classics, they need to add some more systems on there. You're gonna have to add some Game Gear or some Saturn or something.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they haven't done like some 32X or even the original Sega, the what was it called? The not the Mega Drive, not the Mega Drive, the you know what I mean, the first Sega.
I do know. I don't know the name, I guess. I thought it was Mega Drive, so I don't know.
No, that's the isn't that the Genesis
Mega
outside
Drive is a
of the Me
Genesis, so
Yeah.
shows what I know about
Okay. So they do have it in the thing. So the description is Game Arts brings you a fantasy action game featuring Alisia, a girl who controls lightning. Wield auto aiming lightning and the power of four summons to fight off attacks from all sides and blaze a path to the Sky Temple. Let me try to get in the habit of reading those at the beginning of this segment from now on.
cool. I did not know that actually. I didn't know they added that. So that's cool.
All right, let's
Uh,
find out what we're playing next time. Ooh, where's the thingy? There it is. All right, so this is a themed week next week. We're going to be doing NES Ninja games. They're all packed together. There's plenty of them. We're going to do Ninja Jaja Maru Kun, Ninja Gaiden, and Shadow of the Ninja. It's going to be Ninja Week.
I've played two of
Help
those.
us help us catch up on all the games they've been adding. And oh, I got to add the GameCube games to the randomizer. Okay, so we'll be doing that, and we'll be back next week with some of that stuff. Keep in mind, we're Nintendo fans, not Nintendo experts. So if we got anything wrong, let us know, and let us know in the comments below what were your first impressions of the Switch 2, and do you have a dream game you've always wanted? Pitch it to us, and we'll read it on a future episode. We'll talk about what kind of games people want. Other than that, we'll see you next week for more Nintendo therapy. See you then.